Now, before we go into the detail between the two covenants, which I want to do, I want you to come back with me to chapter 7, verse 12. Chapter 7, verse 12 says, "For when there is a change of priesthood, there must also be a change of the law." It sort of makes sense. But what's the connection with priesthood and covenants? Well, priests serve the covenant. The old priests are busy serving the old covenant. And so the writer says Jesus doesn't serve in the earthly temple because there's already people doing that. He serves in the heavenly temple because there's no one doing that. He is the one who needs to do it. And so in chapter 7, Melchizedek, who has been mentioned like in 3 verses up until this point, gets this full-on rap because he is a different sort of priest. We talked about that last week. I'm not going to go into too much detail. But that's why it's such a big issue. And so, as a result, new covenant needs a new priest bring a new law. And so that's why there is such a big deal in the new way and not going back to the old law made throughout the whole book of Hebrews. Now, back with me, chapter 8, verse 7. Verse 7, if there had been nothing wrong, but there was. So what's the difference between the two covenants? In verse 9, God says, I led them by their hands. But in verse 10, I will write my laws on their hearts. I will write my laws in their minds. The time is coming, declares the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel. It will not be like the covenant I made with their forefathers. Why? Because they did not remain faithful to my covenant, and therefore I turned away from them. That's going to be different. New covenant means they will remain faithful. And you and I can't do it. We need God to write his law on our hearts and on our minds. You see, the difference was I told them what they needed to do in the old covenant. In the new covenant, they will do what they need to do because their desire will be for heaven. They will know me. You see that everyone will know the Lord. And I will forgive their wickedness and will remember their sins no more. I use this all the time. Christianity is not about what we do. It's about what God has done. And the key difference between Christianity and every major world religion is that Christianity deals with sin and every major world religion doesn't. Our sin is hanging there, waiting for punishment, and in the cross, it is forgiven. And so what the writer is saying is, don't go back to the old way. Go to the new way. Go to the iPhone 5. Go to the iPad 3. Go to the new thing. This new thing. Because the old way doesn't work. Now, for you and I mean, some of you guys were brought up as Christians. Some of you, faith came later in life. But the old way for us is always doing. The old way for us always comes back to bite us. It always comes back to, I need to do something. I need to atone for my sin. I need to impress God. And the question you've got to ask is, well, exactly how are you going to do that? Creator of the universe is not going to sit there and go, really? You got me a present, how sweet. Because I already own it. It belongs to me. Just like you do, by the way. The Creator of the universe is not impressed by our efforts. He is not impressed by our works. He has done the work that is necessary. And so when we offer anything else, it's not just unimpressive, it's offensive. What do we need to do? We need to trust that Jesus has taken the punishment for our sins. And most of you guys, if not all, are saying, yeah, I do that. I do that. And I'm saying, keep doing it. Keep doing it. Because in a week or a month or a year, you're going to sin. Well, you're going to sin today. But there'll be something big. And you'll go, that wasn't covered. Like, I know you said, I will forgive your wickedness and I will remember your sin no more. But not this one. And I'm going to have to work that off. And Jesus says, dude, I did. It's done. Islam is extremely attractive because you do. You pray 5 times a day. You fast during the daylight hours for a month, which really stinks when it's in summer, just quietly. Because you starve for 14 hours. You do all these things, and I'm not having a go at them. They're all great things to do. I'm not so good on the fasting, but the praying and the giving and the going to visit a holiday, that's all great stuff to do. But it doesn't impress the creator of the universe. And so, when we talk about Christian faith, we need to keep on remembering that it is not what we have done, but what God has done that will impress God. Do you have any questions?